Hiya friends, Prepared Suburbanite back at you. I said in a recent video that I'm not prepared enough considering all the stuff that's happening in this country and around the world. And I just kind of want to go over a few things that I've been doing over the last week to 10 days or so that I think is going to make it a little bit easier to survive and thrive what's coming. As we look at what's going on in the world today and in this country today, it's very discouraging to just contemplate everything that's about to happen. And I am about as convinced as I can be that we're on the precipice for some huge changes in how we live day to day. I think we're all going to have to get used to making extreme sacrifices to be able to survive what's coming. We've got wars and rumors of wars going on in the Middle East, in Ukraine. We've got the threats of things going on in Taiwan. It's almost unfathomable that in the last 2.5, nearly 3 years, that Biden has been president, that we are now facing an extinction level event with World War III. The Iranians, the Russians, the Chinese, they're aligned against us right now, and I find it very disheartening. What's happening here in our own country, the collegiate support for the terrorist organization called Hamas and the others that are affiliated like Hezbollah. I'm finding it very hard to reconcile this whole thing with what is moral and what is normal. Conservatives stand for tradition. They stand for being conservative, meaning that they don't take radical thoughts and radical ideas, that they look at the facts and determine for themselves what is the right thing to do from an emotional and spiritual perspective. And as I look at what the atrocities are that Hamas inflicted on the Jewish people in Israel on the early part of October here, it just makes me sick to my stomach that they're getting any kind of support. But the support that they're getting is coming from the highest echelons of our educational system, from members of Congress. It's just I don't get it. Well, anyway, let me get back to the topic at hand here, and noting that we've still got a long way to go as conservatives, as we can see by what's going on with the Speaker of the House baloney right now. I think the Republicans have lost their minds on this whole thing right now. It's been way too long. It's been way too much infighting. But let's talk about what I've been doing and what I think you may want to consider doing to be prepared for what's coming. Yesterday, my wife and I went to Tractor Supply and picked up 2 more, what do they call, 20-pound tanks of propane, so that we could have that additional amount of propane. I generally carry 3 tanks here at the homestead. One that's in the barbecue grill and 2 to back it up. Now I've got 2 more to back that 2 up. I've got a 30-pound tank. I've got a 40-pound tank. So I think I'm going to be good for a short period of time with the extra propane that we just picked up. So I would suggest that you all consider making sure that if you use propane for your outdoor cooking, for whatever it is that you're going to be using, to be cooking your food when the grid goes down, make sure you've got enough propane. Water. I would suggest that, and I've heard it from a number of people, that this is going to be, what's coming is going to be a very protracted, lengthy period of time. And this period of time could be more than a couple of weeks, more than a couple of months. I'm going to say it's going to be approaching 2 to 4 years that we'll be facing the huge disruption in the life as we know it today. So I'm going to suggest that you invest in water. And I don't care what method you use, but I would make sure that you have enough reserve water, bottled water, water in tanks. I've got a 275-gallon water tote. I've got 2 55-gallon water drums that are full. And God knows how many cases of bottled water that I've got in our storage preps. I would think I'm going to need some more. But you also need a way to make sure that you've got potable water. So we've got a Berkey water filter. We've got a number of the Life Straw things and the iodine tablets and all that. So just make sure that you've got an adequate supply. I've heard folks estimate that it takes a gallon per person per day. Well, I'm going to say it's going to take at least 5 gallons per person per day that you're going to need to make sure that you've got on hand so that you can make it through. And then you've got a plan for what you're going to do to replenish what you've got. Lord knows we can't store enough water for 5 gallons per person per day for 2 to 4 years in our own homes. So you're going to need a way to replenish that. So if you live near a lake, a pond, a stream, make sure you know how to get that water from those sources of water, get them purified, get them potable, so that you can use that water to keep yourself going. Next up is food. We've taken inventory of what we've got in all our different little storage capacity areas around here. And I think I'm good for just my wife and myself for a good solid 2 years right now. And that's a combination of foods that we've grown in our garden and canned ourselves, to canned goods that we purchase from the stores, to freeze-dried foods that we get at different places, nutrient survival and emergency essentials and places like that. And I'm still not 100% convinced that that's going to be enough for a protracted 2 to 4 year period of what we may be facing in the future, and maybe not too distant future. So one of the next suggestions that we're contemplating right now is a little bit larger investment in some of the shelf-stable, long-life, freeze-dried type foods from whichever place you want to get them from. The food buckets, the all that kind of stuff. Now, keep in mind that in order to reconstitute those kinds of freeze-dried foods, you're going to need water. And that's why I've suggested that we use 5 gallons per person per day for part of that reason right there, is that you're going to need water to reconstitute your freeze-dried foods. Next up is personal safety and personal defense. There's a lot of stuff going on in the Second Amendment arena right now that I find very disturbing. It just appears to me that the logic is upside down, that the powers to be want to simply disarm the American law-abiding citizens to make sure that, it's safe for everybody. Well, I think if we just look back a couple of weeks at what happened in Israel, because Israel has some pretty strict gun ownership rules and regulations, they're second-guessing what just happened because of the way Hamas treated them. So I would suggest that even if you think you're well enough off with ammo, and I've heard folks say that 1,000 rounds per weapon is probably a good place to start, but that you may want to invest up to 5,000 to 10,000 rounds per weapon. So if you've got an AK-47 or an AR-15 or a shotgun, a handgun that takes 9mm or 40 cal, make sure you've got a comfortable amount of ammunition on hand to be able to defend yourself, your family, and your property. Now, I think I've said this before. There's a lot of talk about your mutual assistance group or the tribe that you may be associated with or in or support, whatever. We've got a small group of friends. We've got a small group of friends that we trust, and some of those friends are also family members that we trust to be able to come to our defense, work with us together on keeping our properties safe, all that kind of stuff. But what I've said before is that I've had a couple of bad experiences with mutual assistance groups. There was a prepper group, let's call it that, here in the area that we got actively involved in a few years ago, and it came to be that the leader of the group really had only one goal in mind, and that was to make sure that he was the one that was going to be okay. He wanted to surround himself with people that had all kinds of skills, doctors, dentists, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, you name it. That's who he was recruiting to be part of this prepper group. And what did he bring to the table? Nothing, except he tried to get things organized. But once the layers started peeling off about what his true desires were, I just stepped aside and let him go on his way. It only took another few months or so before the whole group collapsed, and he's nowhere to be seen or found anywhere. So I would urge an awful lot of caution about joining a prepper group, joining a tribe that's out there. Make sure that you know who your friends are when it comes to what's coming. Not necessarily a lone wolf advocate, but I think the smaller, the more efficient that you can be, the better off we're all going to be. The next thought that I've got is communication. I'm not a ham radio aficionado. I can listen to different things, but with my hearing deficit and all that, I find it very, very difficult to try to figure out what people are trying to talk about, what they're trying to say, because I really can't hear all that well anymore. So communications, I really think, is something that we need to make sure that we've got access to. You really do need to find out what's going on around you, what may impact you in the future, and I suspect that what's happening in the future, we won't have the access to the communication channels that we've got right now. There won't be any internet, there won't be any cable TV, there won't be streaming services, all that. You'll be lucky to be able to have enough reserve power to fire up your laptop computer to find out to even play a game or enjoy a DVD or something. It's really going to be tough. So communications is a good thing. Part of our circle of friends here is a ham radio operator, and I know how valuable that can be. To make sure that we stay in touch with what's happening around us and how it may impact us. And I guess my final thought in this whole thing would be to make sure that you've got backup and reserve power. We've got a whole house generator, 20,000 kilowatt. We just had it recently updated and serviced and all that, and it's working just fine right now. I've got 2 portable gas generators that I fire up pretty much on a monthly basis just to make sure that everything's working the way it should be. I invested in Champions. We got 2 of them that are absolutely compatible and can use them for all kinds of stuff that if your power goes out, you've got that access to keep your freezers running, your fridge running until such time as you can make alternate plans for the contents of your fridge and your freezer, which means you may have to be cooking stuff up and canning meats and things like that, but that's what you need it for. Make sure you've got reliable extension cords. I just picked up a couple high quality extension cords just to make sure that I had a good backup for that kind of stuff. So with that, we've got a couple of solar generators. I guess they're not really generators, they're just battery storage devices that you can recharge using solar panels, and we keep them topped off. I use them from time to time to power a few things around the house just to make sure that they're working just fine. I've got a small one that serves as a uninterruptible power supply for my computers, and that's what we do. So make sure that you've got the alternate sources of power that you may need to get you through the rough times that are coming. So with all those things in mind, just remember, be prepared always. This is the Prepared Suburbanite, and I am over and out. See ya on the next video.